very good evening to you. Welcome to the sit down, Kevin. We'll be with you for the next 30 minutes. Let's get the highlights. On clean energy, we look at solar power. Big corporates are ditching KPLC for solar power, but the question is why? Corporate sustainability, what does it mean? Someone will be giving us this and more on this later. On human rights, you get to know the story of Julius Bura, an advocate and defender of the rights of the disabled. And on education, we look at the curriculum. How different is it from the 844 system? You can join the conversation on our social media handles, Facebook and Twitter. The hashtag is #TheSitDown. In a bid to counter rising electricity costs and blackouts, companies are now turning to solar power solutions to minimize expenses and improve productions. Our reporter Millicent brings us this story.
Energy is one of the key enablers of economic activities. Therefore, the government's effort to connect people to the national grid in the last mile connectivity project. But there is a growing shift to solar power systems by heavy consuming industrialists seeking reliable and cheaper supply of electricity, and this has rattled electricity distributor Kenya Power amid thinning revenues. The utility firm said some of its industrial customers, who account for about 54.8% of its sales revenue, are gradually shifting to own-generated solar power, dealing a further blow to its already dwindling finances. The big shift to solar power by heavy consumers has pushed Kenya Power into deeper dilemma in the wake of excess production of electricity. Power generation crossed a record 1 billion kilowatt hours in October 2020, adding financial pressure on the distributor, which is already paying for huge volumes of idle electricity. Power generators have raised production amid reduced consumption by homes and businesses in the wake of COVID.
Hi, I'm Godwin. I'm a guard here at Daystar. About solar and electricity, I'd say that I prefer solar energy since it's very cheap, it's convenient, inashinda hiyo KPLC yenye imeshinda ikipotea kila time. Solar you can just put it there, jua yenyewe ndio itakuja, then you'll feel the energy. Yeah.
It may be affordable, but it's not perfect. So what is the future of solar power? Several companies, universities, and factories have turned to solar energy to supply power for internal use to ensure reliable supply and reduced operational costs. Are we having a solar power revolution? Time will tell. Reporting for the Sit Down, I am Millicent.
And now our correspondent joins us live. Millicent, do we know these institutions or companies that have switched to solar?
Thank you, Kevin. Yes, we do. Well, a very good example is the Nairobi's Garden City Mall that has set up a multi-million solar project which is set to generate about 1356 megawatt hours annually for them. And this is from the 3,300 solar panels that they have set up in their topmost car park shade. Projected to save them about 31.6 million Kenya shillings in electricity bills annually. Another good example is the Strathmore University, which has also set up a 600 kilowatts solar plant, which is now also being sold to the national grid.
Do we have any statistics on the number of homes using solar?
The 2019 census report recorded 19.3% solar lighting active in homes. The rural areas recorded at 29.9% higher than the rural national grid connections, which stood at 26%.
Thank you for your time and hope we'll see you again. And joining us now is our solar expert, Ken Murimi. How did you get into solar power industry?
Well, I did a lot of research concerning solar. So basically ukienda huko chini Nyamakema, unapata everyone and concentrate on stima and no one ever paid attention on whether kuna gap ya kufiliwa ya watu kutumia solar. So that's why I came up with the idea of bringing solar lights, not even solar panels ama solar inverters ama hizi vitu zingine. I tried to try and hiyo gap ya watu kutumia stima kama security so that wanaweza punguza bill.
At what rate in terms of revenue has solar power affected KPLC?
Well, I wouldn't say solar may affect KPLC per se. I think ime complement kwa sababu sio kila mtu ako na hiyo uwezo ati kila wakati ni stima na lipia. Again, when you come to solar, it's not cheap vile people tend to think because there's a initial investment which inakuanga a bit high, but in the long term unapata you save a lot when you're using solar as opposed to stima.
Are they affordable?
Yeah. In the case of let's say solar security lights, because that is the biggest consumption ya stima ama ya bills kwa households. Unapata every night, let's say you're using a 50 watts a 50 watts solar ya stima, unapata unatumia tokens kama 2-3, which is equivalent to 100 shillings a night. But if you do the maths in a month, that's almost 3k. Okay? So with 3k, you come to solar, you'll manage to get like a 25 watt solar floodlight, which will serve you for the next 4 or 3 years. So you see the maths. But when you're going to buy the same light, your steamer, it's 1500. But itakuwa na recurring nini expenditure.
What are some of the challenges facing the solar industry?
Right now, I think naweza sema market yetu, or rather our government haija try kushikilia mwananchi wa kawaida. Unapata mchina analeta mzigo huko na analeta substandard goods. You on the other hand, you're trying to, trying to kuleta mzigo good quality. Lakini because of the price, guys will opt to go for cheap goods as opposed to quality. So I think it's a major factor and tunaweza try to work on that.
What's the future of solar power?
The future of solar power, we are just getting started, I would say that. We have a lot in terms of the electronics to tap in. There are solar fridges, there are solar TVs, there are solar CCTVs. So anything yenye iko ya stima pia iko ya solar.
Thank you for your time and hope we'll see you again.
Okay.
Most of the times when we're talking about injustices in the society, we talk about police brutality and cases taking too long in courts, but we never talk about people with disability. Our reporter, Dida Omuro, visited Julius Mbura and got this story.
Julius Mbura lost his eyesight at the age of 10.
That went till 10 years when I first lost my eyesight. So due to that, I was taken to Thika Primary for the Blind.
He is a University of Nairobi law graduate and a car guru.
I went through University of Nairobi, did law. I have done law with soft. Now I had to transition from doing braille to using soft copy because now I needed to use a computer that has a screen reader. So that one I did campus and Kenya School of Law.
Every morning, Julius walks into the office ready to make a difference in the society. His journey to become a lawyer has been far from simple.
Choice for high school was largely dictated by the fact that I needed to do pure braille. So I went through Thika High School for the Blind. I did pure braille from Form 1 to Form 4. Did my KCC in braille. I finished.
The young man remembers vividly on how he lost his eyesight. He regained his eyesight at Thika School for the Blind, only for him to lose it again at University of Nairobi. He graduated in 2019 and joined Letangula Advocates. Apart from his love for law, Julius also loves adventure. But which challenges does Julius face while practicing law?
So the judiciary also, it's also a challenge. Like because of COVID, they started the e-filing, and for the longest time, especially with because I've worked in a law firm, I was there for the pupillage. You find that these documents, especially for cases and also for even filing, they are not accessible to someone like me because most of them are scans. You see, our screen readers, they are not that advanced to read scans. They can only read as far as it's a Word document or a readable PDF.
And how does he maneuver them? Since he lost his eyesight while in campus for the second time, Julius is working to help other people who have lost eyesight to get a better transition. Reporting for the Sit Down, I'm Linda Omorwa.
Coming up right after the break, we get to know all about corporate sustainability.
Nainuka natazama njia mbele natembea, safari yangu nitafika kilele. Naweza naelea natazama ndoto zangu nafikia leo. Naweza endelea, naweza kuinuka, naweza tarajia, naweza kujijenga,
For the past 30 years, education system has been a hard nut to crack, and the new curriculum has had its share of setbacks. But how different is it from the 844 system?
The pupils are curious to gain knowledge from their tutors. Just like in many other schools in the country, the new curriculum has been rolled out here. But what's the main mission of the new curriculum?
The main mission for the CBC curriculum is to an engaged, empowered, and ethical citizen. Engaged, empowered, and ethical citizen. And the main mission for the CBC curriculum is nurture every learner's potential. Nurture every learner potential.
Of this curriculum and the 844.
Now, CBC, competency-based curriculum, highlight mostly on the learner's skills, the competencies, what the learner is able to do. What the learner is able to do. And this kind of curriculum looks at an individual learner, unlike the previous one, which was looking after every learner. This one is what each learner is able to do. What skills can be unearthed from that learner. So this curriculum measures on an individual learner.
The teachers describe the new curriculum as one that has enhanced creativity. We talk with an expert and he tells us that the new curriculum is designed for teachers to monitor the progress of each pupil.
Now in CBC, the teacher is only a facilitator. The teacher is only a facilitator of knowledge. The teacher is a facilitator of knowledge, unlike in the 844 system. Remember, in the 844 system, the assessment methodology is based on summative, but in the CBC curriculum, it is formative approach where learners are exposed to many formative assessments. In CBC, learning can take place in whichever place, but in 844, learning is consolidated within the four corners of the classroom.
Reporting for Sit Down, I am Lynette Kadede.
Corporate sustainability is an approach aiming to create long-term stakeholder value through the implementation of business strategy that focuses on the ethical, social, environmental, cultural, and economic dimensions of doing business. But all this is in theory. Our reporter Samuel Okemwa sat down with a sustainability expert and filed this report.
The year 2020 has been a reckoning of sorts for many people and companies across the globe. This has brought about sustainability, which is a trending topic for businesses these days. But have companies been able to translate its theoretical principles into actual practices? We sat down with Huma, a corporate sustainability expert, and explored on what corporate sustainability entails, what he has done in the past, and the challenges he has faced.
Makasel, Kenyan, born and raised. I studied law at diploma level. Then I have a master's in PR, media and journalism from Leicester University. I've worked, my whole life has basically been working with communities or trying to determine what community needs and how to solve it. My earlier life was spent in a library, probably my whole childhood. So the library robbed me of my childhood. I've worked in almost all sectors, from NGOs to government to big corporation to now just starting doing whatever I like, which is art and community and music and all that fun stuff. My big break, I usually say that my big break came through Rotary and Rotaract. So Rotary Club of Nairobi Central is where it opened my eyes to the possibilities of doing community work and being professional at it and doing it for the purpose that it is worth doing it, which is for its own sake. From Rotary, I think I met someone who mentioned to me that I should do PR. And at that time, there's this organization called Health Education Resource Trust. So I helped them set up, they helped me learn what PR is in a week. They had a volunteer who was then the head of PR for Procter & Gamble, the global head of PR, Procter & Gamble. She took me through a PR course for corporate and institutions in 14 days. And after that, I had my first job my first real job at Health Education Resource Trust. From Health Education Resource Trust, I moved to Water Services Regulatory Board. There I was in charge of customer and public affairs as a manager. So these are regulatory board that deals with water services, not water as a resource. So from there, I was learning how to be corrupt there. So at one time, I just felt it's not what I wanted to do. So I got this opportunity weirdly from a mechanics place to work at Talo Oil. So from at Talo Oil, I was I was manager for community communications for 4 years. So at Talo, we set up how how to deliver social services to the community. And first as messages, then the messages were not the same things that we were delivering. So I left Talo and formed my consultancy, Tribe 360. And my first job was with the community of Turkana. Then they employed me to help them have a conversation with Talo, and from there I set up Kapese Community Trust, which now is the body that handles all corporate sustainability proceeds in Turkana East and Turkana South. Yeah.
You've talked about how you ventured into the social world and you noticed that you wanted to give back to the society and help the society. What or who inspires you to act in sustainability?
My parents, man, like my family, you know, like being raised where I was raised. Like my house always had not more than 15 people at any one time in a one bedroom house, and most of these people we didn't really know them. So my family was always all accepting of people, and it didn't care whether the people who came were beneficial to us or not. We would just say yes, and that would be the next day and the next day and the next day. And I thought that's how I want to live my life, the rest of my life. Just doing what I saw my mother and my father do.
Okay. So from your background, you've been something that's been always welcoming and always knowing how to relate with people. How have you managed to embed sustainable thinking within your company or places that you've worked?
So basically, the embedding comes from communication. For me, I believe in the first line of the Bible. In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So communication becomes the God thing. So if we are made in the likeness of God, then we have communication. So from communication you can be able to embed anything. And through my communication with people I felt that people just need to be let to do. Yeah? And when you let people do, or let people be, and let people have themselves, you know, have their word, yeah, then from there you can be able to do anything. So again, going back to how I was raised, probably, and this is true for like almost 95% of anybody living in this this part of the world. 95% of us are raised without anything except the word. And the word is a promise of tomorrow. The word is that hope. The word is what the pastor peddles and the makanga calls you to board a pass with. So we've been raised by the word. So through communication, I found, and this I noticed when I was working at Health Africa Resource Team and also Rotary, that words and communication get you access to everything. As a PR guy, I don't need to be a CEO. I'm always there. I'm always involved in writing and designing how communication is sent out there. So with that, I can be able to embed any thought. So the speech that is read, it's me who's drafted. Yeah, the communication that is sent out there, it's me who's designed it. Yeah, so it has to have my agenda. Yeah, and this agenda is just a community that is all giving and all allowing. Yeah.
When you talk about it like that, you've said communication has been a big part of what has helped you.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest challenge that you've also faced professionally?
Set structures, set rules, mode of thinking, things that don't allow. So you come within a system and there's a way you want, like, communication is alive, is alive. I usually say it grows, it becomes, yeah. So when you get into spaces which are set in their ways, that becomes the number one impediment. Where you want to communicate a certain way, but there's a certain culture that is embedded that disallows you to do that. So that has been structures and rules and things the way they are has been my biggest impediment.
We've talked about structures.
Yeah.
Yes, big corporations such as Safaricom, for example, they have been able to move aside from being money-minded to trying to incorporate the community around them and helping them by opening, for example, the M-Pesa school as an example. Do you think such moves by such corporations are made intentionally to assist the community, or is this more of getting a grip on the market we already own?
The thing about sustainability, there's two ways of looking at it. There's sustainability, you look at it through CSR, corporate social responsibility, that is given at the behest of the company, where the company decides what to do. And then there is a sustainability, the real sustainability is you realize that the community is also your worker, the community is also your customer, the community is also your ideas, your future. Yeah. So if you don't invest in the community, then you don't have workers. If you don't invest in the community, then you don't have. If you raise your prices, you don't have customers. So sustainability becomes the business, and the companies that have realized that sustainability is a business will always keep winning, no matter their time, because it's like investing in yourself. So you relate to Safaricom because they feel you. They want you to be able to use from 10 MB of data a day to 2 GB of data a night. And they have to empower you to do that. So sustainability is a way that gives to itself. Yeah. I will not speak to the intention because I don't know, but that's the gist of sustainability basically. You invest in yourself. So it's more of being selfish. I will only give it because I want to be with you later. Yeah. I only accept this interview because I've seen, this is another group of artists or this is another group of people who we can be able to build together.
Okay. What is the one piece of advice you would offer to others seeking to create change?
Just let it be. Let allow, just allow things to happen. Just say yes. Yeah. Just say yes. The struggle mostly with no is, I found yes is gifting, man. To just let things be. I think that's all.
We've seen big corporations such as the NBA step in social issues such as the political atmosphere in the States, for example, during the past elections. Do you think in Kenya corporations can also get to a point where they affect the community, not only socially but also politically, and they empower them?
My politics is in doing. The politics of words and politics of communication. Politics is dangerous, man. Like my politics, my activism is in doing. Because I've been let, I can be able to do. Most people argue that the spaces have been. So when it comes to structures, and we spoke about structures, then to fight these structures, to reimagine these structures, to remodel these structures, to allow for things to happen, then we need politics. But politics is not sustainability. Yeah. And the right kind of politics is the politics of doing. Yeah.
What one thing have you done at your company to drive sustainability that others could replicate?
So basically, when I was working at Talo Oil, I realized that sustainability, again, I alluded to this when we were starting the conversation, that sustainability determined by the company is not real sustainability, because today I'll decide I'll give you every year I can claim I have no profit, so I have no investment to give back to the community. Yeah, but to form a structure where the operations of the company are embedded to the sustainability of the company, in terms of, if I'm investing 10 shillings in a space, then I say a percentage of this, of whatever I'm investing, whether profit or not, is going to a community. Then that way you can be able to effect change. The other thing is creating community structures that can be able to manage whatever they are gifted to and see the rationale behind the gifting. So it's not free money, it's not a donation.
Okay, what is your biggest concern about our ability to create a more sustainable working?
Dishonesty.
Dishonesty. What have you done outside of your work to live a more sustainable life?
I don't drive or walk. I prefer having a conversation than writing an email or getting on a phone. Yeah.
Okay, and final question. What specific leadership qualities are needed by innovators in the field of sustainability that differ from those of running a traditional business that seeks only to meet the needs of the shareholders?
You have to flow, man. You have to allow. Yeah, again, corporations are corporations because they have structures, legal structures, company structures, company cultures and stuff, and those are structures. So if there's the part of corporations called research and development, if people can invest more in research and development in ways that they can make their infrastructure or their structures become more fluid, to allow for more innovation, to allow for more chances for people to be able to be entrepreneurs, sustainable entrepreneurs.
Thank you.
Aya, karibu.
That is it from our news desk today. Thank you for being here with us. I'm Kevin B. We of course hope to see you back here next week. Have a good evening.